the Blue Ribbon Water Committee. Welcome.
I took my place early.
It's okay. I like that.
Mayor Stanton, members of the council, it is with great pleasure and sigh of relief that this afternoon, or actually only a few minutes ago, I delivered to the town attorney the finished product of the Blue Ribbon Water Committee in the way of a final report. It turns out that because of the content and nature of that report, it was recommended to the committee that we submit it to the town attorney. The town attorney will then provide it to the council, and it will then be covered by what I understand is attorney-client privilege for that reason. We have 15 members of that committee, you know. It was a committee that worked hard. Some of them worked super hard, and everybody had to read an enormous amount of material in order to participate in the meetings and be aware of what was happening, and it was a tremendously complicated situation. One of our committee members who was most responsible for the issue that was most prominent here, and that was the financial situation related to what were the alternatives of covering one of the issues that we were asked to cover, which was should the town consider purchase of the water company. I remember when we got one of our early meetings, and we got a report from Dr. Barbiero, who's here this evening. I believe it was like 9 pages. The report that I delivered to you this afternoon, or to the town attorney, is 94 pages. This is of financial matters, and this evolved over the 8 months or more that we've been involved in this. We kept getting more information, and as we got more information, his report got longer. And the other individual who put in a horrendous amount of work on this was Bernadette McNulty. She's here tonight, and it is amazing how much we learned about our English language from Bernadette. Because Dr. Barbiera, as thorough and as good as he is, he had a few sentences that ended in a preposition, and Bernadette wouldn't stand for that. So we did have a very long and arduous program in putting this together, and we wanted the citizenry to know some of the basic facts and information that was involved, and so Pat Orr and Bill McDaniel, who was on the committee, put together a presentation taken from the report that I would like to call Pat up, and he supposedly has everything set up with our IT department here, yes, and will be able to proceed and give you a preview of some of the high points in the report. Thank you.
At least that's the rumor, and it is working. So whatever you spent on this system is worth it. For you in the audience, it may get a little hard to see, but most of it's on the big screen up there. I would encourage you, if you want me to stop and ask a question to Mr. Barbieri or the chairman, just yell at me. Otherwise, I'm going to zip through this. Obviously, this is the Blue Ribbon Committee Water Report. Why we existed. You asked us to investigate, monitor, and understand the Rancho's water rate increase action proceeding through the California Public Utilities Commission. You also asked us to investigate and advise the council on the impact and possible interventions regarding acquisition of Park Water Company by the Carlyle Group. And lastly, to evaluate the feasible alternatives under which public ownership and control of privately owned water companies could be structured to benefit Apple Valley ratepayers and local water users. 3 items. How we went about this: we gathered information from public meetings with community stakeholders, staff, water company representatives, and almost anybody that would talk to us about water. Committee members heard public testimony and engaged in subcommittees to gather information from experts in water delivery, water reclamation, water resources, water rights, eminent domain, and public financing. And I must say, you have a core group here that knows way more about water than they probably should, but should be a good resource in the future for the council. Member findings were discussed amongst ourselves and reviewed to examine the central question: what resources would be required to acquire and manage the water delivery systems now operating in the town and its perceived sphere of influence? These are the stakeholders we consulted in one way or another in our research and investigation: the MWA, Ranchos, Golden State, the CPUC, County of San Bernardino, our own redevelopment agency, and citizens and local ratepayers. The conclusion we came to, obviously, in the first part was that all of us agreed that without a sustainable, affordable water supply, the town of Apple Valley will face sure economic decline. The committee sought any and all ideas to find the best potential solutions that could result in the positive outcome we all agree is necessary for the town's future prosperity. Should we continue to oppose the sale of Apple Valley Ranchos? While there are a number of concessions and stipulations requested by those questioning and opposing the sale, including the town, most, if not all, were summarily dismissed by the CPUC. The merger with Carlyle was approved on December 1st, 2011. We believe the town, on behalf of its citizens, should continue to monitor and participate in future rate action requests. We also recommend the town maintain a harmonious relationship with the new management of Park Water Company and Apple Valley Ranchos in the best interests of our residents. Typical Apple Valley residents. Because we're going to talk about rate increases. Efforts by the town, its legal counsel, and outraged ratepayers prompted the California Public Utilities Commission Division of Ratepayer Advocates to recommend a 5.7 increase over actual 2010 revenues to Apple Valley Ranchos. The result is that Apple Valley Ranchos reduced its rate increase request from 20% to 14.83%. Thereupon, the DRA modified its recommended increase up to 11.44%. The DRA is the organization inside the CPUC that purportedly works for all of us in our best interest. Purportedly was editorial. CPUC has approved interim rate increases until they decide whether to award the 11.44% increase the DRA proposed or the 14.7% increase Apple Valley Ranchos is seeking. The committee recommends the town endorse the final settlement agreement and the 11.44 rate increase proposed by the DRA. While it is still too high, and in our opinion not supported by the facts or financials available to the public, it's preferable to the almost 15% increase demanded by Apple Valley Ranchos. There continues to be a number of issues not agreed upon between the CPUC and Apple Valley Ranchos that can dramatically affect expenses and future rate increase requests. The committee suggests continued and increased vigilance and oversight regarding Apple Valley Ranchos, its expenses and collections, and use of development fees. The committee also recommends that the town oppose and investigate every rate increase request by Apple Valley Ranchos or Golden State Water and proactively participate in working to reduce requested future rate increases on behalf of its citizens. Should the town purchase Apple Valley Ranchos? After an exhaustive review of all the elements this process may require, the committee cannot recommend that the town of Apple Valley pursue an acquisition of either Apple Valley Ranchos or Golden State Water at this time. Because it would politicize water rates, development and delivery of water resources. This body would get to tell the citizens how much they got to pay for water. Wouldn't that be lovely? A vote of the people to raise sufficient taxes to fund the debt service is highly unlikely in this economic environment. Projected revenue and rate base does not support the sale price or debt service. And it would increase the scope of government at a time when most municipalities, including ours, are trying to shrink staff to stay on budget. And finally, the fee-based income sufficient in a down economy to support infrastructure needs would hinder new development if we raise them significantly. So our final recommendations. Establish an ad hoc citizens water review group to monitor and advise on future water issues in Apple Valley. The town should pursue legislative action to make the CPUC review and rate approval process more transparent and responsive to public examination of all financial records, review of requests, and rationale. Profitability should be based on performance, not guaranteed rates by the CPUC. While today's economic and political realities do not provide a way for us to acquire local control of water resources immediately, we believe the town council should take affirmative steps to position itself to participate in the acquisition of local water rights and/or private water companies when the economic conditions make sense. We believe a continuous flow of the lowest cost water to our citizens and businesses is the most critical element in a future that ensures our viability as a community and keeps the promise of a better way of life. And we respectfully submit those findings in the report that you may someday get. Questions? No.
Does council have any questions? Any comments? Well, I'd like to thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Nassif? Yes, I'd like to thank you on behalf of the town and the council and our citizens for the difficult task that you took on, and so many of you spending countless hours and a lot of dedication on a long journey. And the result we heard here tonight is certainly maybe not be what we wanted to hear, but it's factual, and we just appreciate you for your dedication to this. Is there anyone that would like to make a comment? Okay. All right. We do want to present those members of the Blue Ribbon Water Committee that are here. We do have a recognition for you. So I'll ask, should we all step forward again to do that? All right. Let's go ahead. How are you? It's good to see you, Larry. Okay. Okay. Mayor Pro Tem, would you be kind enough to, it's two pieces. I want to be sure that everyone sees this beautiful crystal or glass commemorative for our audience. You can see it, it's inscribed with the water board member's name, and it's stunning. And we can't say enough to you for just this generosity of your time and your talent. Thank you so much. And so let's start with, why don't we start with Mr. Carl Coleman. Thank you so much. Is that Carl's name that I saw on that? Yes. I thought so. We do have a beautiful box that it comes in, and what we'll do with the rest of it, we're going to be, we'll be presenting it in a box for you so that you will not have to worry about dropping it, but I wanted to be sure that everyone saw that. So Mr. Coleman, thank you so much. You can go ahead and pass that to him, and we'll help him box it up. Yeah. Beautiful box and, yes, glass or crystal, isn't it lovely? Nice blue, and we, all right. Carl, thank you, from all of us on this council, from the town, from our citizens. We'd also like to ask Mr. Orr, you've got your box. We'll have you step over to. Thank you very much. Also, Mr. John Bernier is here. John, thank you so much, sir. We appreciate you. Ms. Bernadette McNulty, I see right here. Thank you again for your service to this town. So many of these people serve time and time again when asked. Mr. Barbiera, am I saying that right? Barbieri. He said Barbiera. I was trying to. Thank you so much, sir, too, for your help in this battle. Okay, who's it? Mr. Jim Chandler. I see Jim here. Thank you, Jim. We go ahead and yes. Also, another guy who's always around when asked is Mr. Larry McCarthy. Larry, thank you so much. I'm afraid to ask you if you have any words. I can see that look on his face. Mr. Wilson So. Thank you, Wilson. We appreciate you. Let's see, who's here that I'm not? Oh, there's Joe. Oh, Mr. Bill McDaniel. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you very much. Glad to see you're feeling better, too. All right. Mr. Joe Tartagliani, did I say that even close? Tartagliani. Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate you. Have I left anyone out? I'm doing pretty well with recognizing folks. There were other members that are not here. Mr. David Christman. David was one that really kind of started this drive with concerned citizens. Is that correct?
800 irate water.
Where are they? No, God bless them all. Okay. We appreciate David. Mr. Jack Collingsworth, he wasn't here, but we thank him also. Yes, please do.
He told me he's coaching a game tonight.
That's pretty important, certainly. Let's see. Mr. Rick Piercy, who was the vice chair on this committee. Most of you know Mr. Piercy. We thank him. Also, Mr. Robert Lee Sturgis and Mr. Rob Turner. That rounds out this board. I hope we didn't leave anyone out.
I'd just like to say that there was one person who put one whale of a lot of time into this, and that was my son, Randy Coleman, at our office.
Let's hear it for Randy, too. Thank you, Randy. Well, again, we appreciate it. Let's get in close and get some pictures. Come on. Oh, well, that's okay. We'll get Randy a cheer. That's right. Yes. Why don't you hold the report up for the picture? That's the small report and the hard work. All right.
There's 94 of that, and there's about 230 pages in it.
My gosh. Yes.
Oh.
Hold this up a little bit. There you go.